film stinks! Well, it's about smells. Well, I'll tell you this, it reeks! Yeah, it's a movie called Reeker and I've just watched it. Reeker is an American horror film which was released in 2005 and was written and directed by a man called David Payne. It follows a group of friends who are on their way to a rave in the middle of the desert, and one of the friends includes Trip, who has a stash of pills which he stole from a crazed drug dealer. This upsets driver Gretchen, who demands that he gets rid of them unless he wants to be left at the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. And I have no idea why I was doing that while doing that bit. However, Gretchen has a change of heart, turns the car around and plans to leave Trip at a motel/diner they visited not long ago. But when they get there, they find that the whole place is mysteriously deserted. Naturally, this being a horror film, once they get to the motel, the car dies and refuses to start, which means they've got no choice but to stay there for the night. And whilst doing so, they're eventually stalked and killed one by one by a killer that travels through the air, and he's detectable by the stench of death and decay that he leaves in his wake. So, what to say about the film? Well, I liked it. For starters, and this is quite unusual for a modernish horror film from America, most of the characters were pretty likeable. You've got Trip, who's the impulsive and childish one. You've got Gretchen, who's the no-nonsense gal from South Africa. And you've got Jack, the kind and caring blind guy. And there's one or two other ones as well. And the acting comes across pretty well throughout the film as well, with some scenes showing some really good chemistry between certain actors. Though I do have to say that the main thing I can recall about this movie is that Trip, played by Scott White, looks like a really poor man's version of a young Bruce Campbell. Seriously, I missed a load of lines of dialogue in this film because I was in awe at the fact the world might have two chins that can kill. As for the tone of the film, it's pretty dark and creepy throughout, and it does a really good job at building up the feeling of isolation you would suffer at being stranded in the middle of Nowheresville. Nowhere? Nowheresville. That said though, the creepiest moment for me had to be the first few moments of the opening credits. Lists of names really scare me. It's just text, and it's eerily quiet. Then after a while it adds in the odd noise here and there. And then the music kicks in and spoils it, but overall this film is really good at having a really thick atmosphere of creep. In fact, you could say it reeks of creep. Get it? However, it's not all doom and gloom. The film's shot throughout with a bit of dark humour here and there, some of it pretty funny, some of it pretty bizarre. The line, "You're pretty funny for a blind guy," being one of them. I can't say I've ever met a funny blind person. And let's not forget good old Michael Ironside, who pops in for a scene or two here and there, playing driver Henry, who's searching for his wife. He's only around for a few scenes and he spends most of them with Trip, but these scenes are pretty funny and they do share some good chemistry. The movie's called Reeker and Reeker kills people, so the question is, does he do it well and does he look good whilst he's doing it? Yes and yes. The Reeker's costume looks great, it's dark and mysterious. He looks dangerous and you can sense it, and they slowly build up how much of him you see throughout the film. And yes, he does kill people, not in the most overly elaborate ways possible, but one or two of them are pretty cool. He also has one or two nasty weapons at his disposal. Now, onto the negative side of things, and I have a major complaint about this movie. This movie made me fat! One of the main characters in this film is called Cookie, and every time one of the characters screamed her name, I got hungry. Cookie! Oh, don't mind if I do. Hey, has anyone seen Cookie? Oh, go on then. Hey, Cookie, are you in there? I say, what a good idea. Here, Cookie, Cookie, Cookie. Oh! Come on, Cookie, this isn't funny anymore. I'm so fat. Stupid, delicious Cookie. The biscuit's not the girl, though she is kind of stupid. Another negative for me has to be that some of the gore effects are done with CG, which stand out like Ghostface at a KKK convention when you compare them to the practical gore effects used earlier in the film. Though the fact that the characters in the film seem to react logically and how you'd expect people to react in a horror situation, rather than doing the usual horror cliches, kind of makes up for the bad CG now and then. Would I recommend this film to you? Yes, I would. Sure, it's not got the biggest budget in the world, but the makers knew that and therefore didn't go for things they knew they couldn't accomplish. Sure, it's a horror film, but it seems to focus mainly on the suspensefulness of the situation and how creepy it can be, slowly unravelling the mystery of the plot as it goes, which works really well. And because of this, the pacing works really well. You're slowly fed what you need to know as it goes through, and you can start to piece it together as you go along. The runtime flew by, and I didn't find myself bored once, which can only be a good thing. I'll put a link to the movie's trailer in the description box, and if you've seen Reeker, let me know what you thought of it in the comments section below. And that's all I've really got to say for this film, so bye for now. I wonder if I've got any of those cookies left.